So, in the last session, Ece was the only person, and now Sıla is the only person joining me here. Okay, I'm also recording. I'm recording this class on my mobile phone, and then I'm going to share those later on on our Facebook page through YouTube. Now, I said idioms are important elements of a language. So, in order to know a language well, you have to know a lot of idioms and a lot of expressions, as many expressions as possible, and as many idioms as possible. Okay, so idioms are an important aspects of language. Now, in the next topic, we have the truth of sentences. Okay, the truth of sentences. What is the truth of sentence? If you ever study a foreign language, you'll have to learn both word meanings and how to combine them into sentence meanings. Memorizing the words won't get you very far. In acquiring your native language, of course, you learn these semantic rules unconsciously. So when you are learning a language, remember the first topic that I was talking about in the beginning of the semantics chapter. I was saying that you have to know the semantic properties, if something is male, if something is female, if something is alive, if something is non-living. So you know these things in order to understand the meaning. So when you study a language, you know the semantic properties of that language, and the semantic properties of a language create the truth of sentences. Okay, the page is 183 in my book. 183. All right. Now, we all know the meaning of, for example, red and brick. Okay, red and brick. The combination of red brick is simply what redness and brickness have in common. Okay, we know the meaning red, we know the meaning of brick, but when they come together, red brick has a significant meaning in English, because if you say the red brick, most okay, you can you not hear my voice? Can't you hear my voice? Okay, let me continue. All right, if you hear my voice sometimes, don't worry. This is because of the system, but you will watch the video on YouTube. I'm going to share the video link. I'm going to share the YouTube link on our Facebook page. Okay? Okay, I'm also recording this on YouTube, and you will be able to see me and hear me more clearly. If you can't see me and hear me clearly here, you will be able to see and hear the video later on. But try to follow me now, but there's only one person. So I was saying that red and brick, you know the meaning of red, you know the meaning of brick, but when they come together, red brick, it has a significant meaning, especially in England. For example, when you say red brick, there are red brick houses built of old bricks, or there are brick universities, or red brick universities, they call them, and they mean that the old universities of England, like universities that universities from the 19th century, universities from the 18th century are called red brick universities in England. So that's a different meaning. So you have to know the experience of that culture, experiences in that culture, and you have to know of the specific semantic properties of that culture in order to understand what it really means. Okay, and secondly, the truth of sentences are also they have to be analytic. Okay, for example, some of the sentences are very analytic, and you don't need to explain them. For example, dogs are animals. Okay, that's a truth. But if you know the semantic property, you don't have to say that dogs are animals, because semantic property will tell you that dog is already an animal. Therefore, you don't have to repeat that. Kings are female. No, this is impossible, because queens are female. So when you know a semantic property, a king must be a male, then you know that there is something wrong, there's some anomaly in this sentence. Adults are children. Impossible. There's no truth in this sentence. Adults cannot be children. And there's another title that we call names here, which is on page 185, names. And names, sometimes proper names, people's names, place names, become like words in a language, like we studied in morphology, you remember. And these words, so these names, significantly mean something, because in small groups of people, in small communities, people create names for objects, names for people, names for places, and those names become very meaningful to you. Okay, they become very meaningful to you. Think about the names of the teachers in your life, and when you hear that name will mean that person, characteristics of that person, personality of that character, and the behaviors, the voice, the feelings you have for that person come to your mind. So a name is not just a name. And your name, for example, gives you a personality. So Sıla is not a simple name, but Sıla gives you a personality because it has a large meaning. And that name will give you some kind of character, some kind of confidence, maybe. So names are not simple, because some of the names, like, for example, Kız Kulesi. All right, Kız is a separate word, Kule is a separate word. But when they come together, Kız Kulesi will have a very large meaning in your mind, very large meaning in your understanding and in your connotations. And you're going to know that it's a tower in Istanbul which is very famous. It has a long history, like Galata Kulesi, for example, Galata Tower, which is a very long history, and you may have memories there. So when you hear the name, you will remember a lot of memories. Same thing can also happen with Gezi Parkı, for example. Gezi was the name of the park, but now it has a very large political connotation. Okay, that's an important difference. Names can be very political, names can be very, personal, historical, and so on. Our next topic is sense and reference. In sense and reference, we know that all expressions in language, all words in a language have a sense. Okay, sense. So they have a meaning beyond what it says. All right, I say red, and you will say that red is a color. That's a meaning. But what is the sense of red? What is the sense of red? What does it remind you? What does it tell you behind it? Red. Is it fear? Is it blood? Is it virginity? Is it courage? Is it sadness? Is it death? Therefore, these are the senses of a word. But what are the references? What does it refer to? Okay, what does it refer to? So a name or a word must have a sense and then a reference in order to have a meaning. Like I said, remember the semantic triangle I told you. Semantic triangle. There are 3 corners of a triangle. 3 corners of a triangle. And each corner we need something. Word, object or concept, and your idea or experience about that word or about that object or concept. Sense and reference. Okay, sense and reference. One is the sense and the other is reference and the other is the word. We need the word, we need the sense, and we need the reference there. And your world knowledge, your knowledge about this word, your knowledge about your country will create the meanings. For example, if I say that Republic of Turkey was founded in 1924, all right? If I say this to somebody who is not Turkish, to somebody who doesn't know the history of Turkey, there's no problem. They don't know whether this sentence is true or not. But if I say it to a Turkish person, to somebody who knows the Turkish history, the Republic of Turkey was founded in 1924, they will say, no, that's wrong. So now the meanings and the truth of sentences, okay, the meanings and the truth of sentences depend on your experience, depend on your knowledge about the world, about the country you are living in. Okay, so I'm finishing the semantics chapter now. Okay, the meaning is the meaning of meaning. We studied the meaning of meaning. What do we mean by meaning? Okay, well, the meaning in language is a very large and very deep concept, very philosophical concept, and like the meaning of life. All right, how do you understand the meaning of life? That equals to the meaning of language, meaning of words. How many words do we know? How many meanings do we have in our minds? And do we think that the meanings described in the dictionaries are the real meanings of the words? Can we say that? I don't know. And the meanings of the words cannot always be the meanings given in the descriptions in the dictionaries, because they are not totally they are not the total meanings of it, because they may have different meanings in different concepts. Okay, so thank you very much for joining me. I'm finishing the session now, because we are required to have 15 to 20 minute long videos for each session. Okay, thank you very much. Bye. We are going to begin syntax next week.